All right, let's get into it. Hello,
Okay.
hello. It's Blue, coming to you live from an extremely late hour for me, but likely morning for anyone that's watching this, including PaandyAndy here. Um, we are covering the ExAlts Celebration Season 2 tournament, starting with the Swiss bracket. This is the English stream for you folks. If you are here listening to me speak in English, you are in the right place. Along with me today, as I mentioned, we have PaandyAndy. How are you doing this fine morning?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. So, I'm so excited to actually watch pretty nice and awesome games and also to sing here together with you. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, well, let's see here. Is it showing up?
So, it's got reset again.
I got reset again. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
quite going.
it's again the 8 minutes. So, like maybe can you tell us
Yeah,
something a little bit about the ExAlt
yeah. I mean,
celebrations, how it's working, what
yeah.
are
I
we
mean,
doing actually here?
Yeah, I mean, before we get into things, obviously we'd like to thank our hosts, the ExAlts team, for having us. If you'd prefer a French-speaking stream, go ahead and check out the ExAlts_FR on Twitch. But with all that being said, we can get into it a little bit. We talked a little bit about it already, but the first matchup we are seeing is Sryzen versus Klim, and that is an Aphanis versus a Subash. Do you know anything about that matchup? What are your thoughts overall? We have the deck list available to us, so it's kind of cool that it's an open deck list tournament. You're able to know what your opponent's working with. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm really excited to see like on the Axiom side, just like basically the Sub Ash and Marmo. It's something I would say like really special because most of the time, or like the last bigger tournaments that we're like hosting online, you saw like a lot of traced playing. So I'm actually pretty excited because I'm thinking like that Sub Ash is more like the aggressive way of playing like kind of the same playstyle, you know? So let's see how it worked out. And Fairness is for me just like a basically Space Slinger deck that can put out a lot of stuff if it starts to working. But at the end, I'm actually pretty excited to see who would take this first round of it because both of the decks are pretty fast if they want to do. Yeah. So let's see. So I'm
Yeah, for
actually pretty
sure.
excited.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think everyone's kind of expecting a good amount of traced play after the Robin Hood errata. I think that's probably been one of the more common decks I've seen when playing BGA. People like can trace, but like just looking through the deck
Yeah.
lists
I
overall,
see the game.
yeah. Oh, you
Just
do?
want to mention it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like
Oh, well, I mean,
um
let's get right into it then.
I'm
Let's
sorry
stop.
to interrupt you, but I just want to say I see the game.
Okay, so it looks like the stream got a little bit adjusted, so I'll have to mess with that so that we can all see it. 1 second,
Okay.
folks.
So he's just like putting the hand cards a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's using
Maybe
the
like a bit smaller.
full setup here. I have to adjust this by a lot. Where is his thing?
So it's actually also like really crazy how strong Axiom like in general became after like the big Wahoo ban or like just like the Robin Hood that was coming away. So you just like see if you like also looked to the last tournaments, a lot of just like Axiom that's putting in the top 16, like what's happened with Wahoo before. But let's see if this would be the case also in this tournament. Of there would be like another deck because sometimes there was also like Tisha that took the first place or the second place.
Hmm.
So I'm excited. So what do you think about the matchup?
I think it's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of tempo if you hit the right stuff with
Yeah.
Subash. Whereas I think that the setup for a faunus is obviously focused on a lot of small spells and then getting things sorted correctly. Let's see here. A lot of stuff is moving around. I'm trying to make sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Um, hold on one second. All right, I think we're good now. All right. There.
Pretty
Sorry.
crazy. He got like a really strong startup because he already got like both of his Bravos Bastion, one already in play, the other one on his hand. So it's getting a lot of faster from now on.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly. Let's see here, and yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust this
Yeah.
as it's going. There. All
Okay,
right. I
it's
think
okay.
I got it coordinated on the stream correctly, so it looks good for everyone. It's cool being able to see the hand in BGA. We're not
Yeah.
typically able to do that. But thanks to the ExAlts folks for sorting that out for us. But yeah, I mean, we can kind of get into the analysis of the actual game going on here a little bit. Can't see a lot as far as the Subash's hand, or maybe it's blocked out a little bit. Yeah, I'm showing the whole
I
screen,
think
but
it's like the characters above, or
well,
I'm
either
kind of
way,
surprised. So he's got a third one. Yeah. You don't see the full reserve I'm seeing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
obviously it's we have two of the Haven Bravos Bastions out for the Sub Ash. Obviously, that's pretty huge in the first turn, I think you were
Yeah.
mentioning. Um, but still an even matchup, obviously, because it took him all of his mana to set those up. And yeah, we're getting the hand set up right now, so we'll be able to see all of that. Looks like he's just setting it off to the side of just the reserve. But
Yeah.
hand advantage going to a Faunus still at this point. It'll just be a matter of can they keep the tempo up or get up enough mana to be able to keep up with double permanents coming from the sub ash. And let's see here. I haven't seen a lot of sub ash players, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious to see what they have in their deck list. So I'm gonna take a look at it here.
Like,
Um,
yeah, so
Clam,
I'm always saying like that, like the Zapish, as I mentioned before, for me it's like the way more aggressive way to playing like Trace,
yeah,
because you can like taking out the same advantage with your reserve as like Trace, but you putting away a lot of resource, I'm kind of saying, because you don't have the ability to actually draw cards at the end. So you need to be actually pretty fast in the game to moving forward. And as we already can see, it's like that our Afanas player, it's like actually getting close to like the Zabash. So maybe this could be a problem that he can easily like already tempo up everything, you know? So
for sure.
I'm
And
surprised how
yeah,
Zabash will work this out. Yeah.
yeah, and just like looking at the deck list, on the side here, it's really similar to like a trace deck, like you mentioned. The
Yeah.
main difference being that obviously they have some stuff more focused around supporting the brass bugs with the Ogans. I'm also noticing an Ouroboros Lyra Bastion in his two of them in his deck as well for resupply effects, and then running three common Athenas just for the recycling from the reserve. It looks like,
Yeah.
and trying to get a bunch of boosts off of it, especially when you have two landmarks set up for you. So yeah, interesting setup. Um, and it is looking like in his advantage there, like you mentioned, being able to be a little bit more aggressive than the Aphanis is, who needs a little bit more time to set up.
And what
Yeah,
we
it's
also can see that he's getting like also a lot of options. So he now's got again like the Elder phase. So he could simply like draw another card if he used the ability to put it on reserve.
mhm,
What he did, but he still needs to take care, because if we're like looking at the Afanas deck list, he has 2 copy of Small Step Giant Leap, and this is something that you could like forgetting if you're playing against, and then if you thinking like, oh, I'm pretty safe, and then at the end, it's got put out. So let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, it's probably people's least favorite card now is the small step.
Yeah.
After Robin Hood change, people just get once they get small stepped. If you're playing
Yeah.
a Ysmir deck, whether it's a Faunus, Navenka, not Navenka, but Akesha or any deck that's purple, expect a small step.
Yeah.
Even Lyra at this point is probably going to have a small step for a lot of decks. So um, just don't let them get adjacent. But he's doing a good job of it
Yeah.
now. Only three advances away from winning the
Yeah.
game, while the Afanis is 5 away at this point. Hasn't even moved off of the companion side. I guess that's what happens when we see two Haven Bravos fashions come out right away. And yeah,
Yeah.
looking at the a Faunus deck list, it doesn't look like they are running any um, Kraken's Wrath either to help remove the tokens, which isn't surprising because you don't see it all that much. But obviously, it's can be helpful when you run into token decks that run like Brass Bugs or the Ortus Recruits a lot of the time. Let's see
Yes.
here.
But we
But
can
yeah,
still see. Oh, he's putting on the off you go. He's just like thinking, but he could easily with this 2 mana. Or he's putting the Spindle Harvester on it. Or he's
yeah, it
thinking.
looks.
Because simply he could use like the Helping Hand and also like his draw supply if he wanted to with the magical training. But he has a lot of options.
So he is
And
going to go with the off you
Sabash is out
go.
of mana. Yeah. So getting one there. And also could simply.
That should tie him up. No, that
Yeah.
won't let him tie. It'll just because he'll
Yeah.
still advance on the mountain.
Yeah. So we will tie him. But he still got like a lot of options for the next couple of rounds
Yeah, I think he's just worried at
to
this
take
point
advantage.
for the sub ash getting too close because I think we both know that once anyone gets adjacent to each other in the game, it's kind of hard to stop them on both expeditions a lot of the time.
Yeah. So let's see what he's got. And he's got his first unique. And I can read it out loud for you.
Mhm.
So the effect is it's like the Spindle Harvester at the cost of 1/2. And if he's played from the reserve, he's gaining anchored. And like thus, if I have one or more boosts, you may return a card other than me from your reserve to your hand. That's what it say on the
Gotcha,
decklist.
gotcha. There. Actually going to do this. All right, let's try that. All right, I think we're good at picking up excess audio then. All right. Sorry, trying to do some stream stuff as we're doing this at the
Yeah,
same time.
it's completely
Uh,
fine.
there. But yeah, obviously Subash in the driver's seat here. Still some stuff the Aphanis can do, but they're at this point 2 spaces behind. And they're still fairly low as far as like mana total overall, only being on, I believe, the 4th day at this point.
Yeah.
And then with the constant amount of cards coming from the reserve with the double Haven, it's got to be hard to catch up stats wise, even with the constant boost from Aphanis.
Yeah, that's true. And now it's like the thing why I like to call it Spellslinger because now it started getting popping off. And as we can see, like Zapage took like pretty fast like the advantage of the game. But now there's like the problem that basically like a traced will not have in general. He's got like a lack of cards that he could playing now because like his draw abilities is getting a little bit shorter and shorter. But let's see. Let's see what he else could do. Because now with the Spindle Harvester and the both Mage Dancer, so let's see what he will keeping. So he's putting the Mage Dancer and the Magical Training away and still got the Helping Hand and the Banishing Gate for maybe the Bravos Bastion.
Yeah, and we see the
Yeah.
unique Inari come out for the sub ash, but he's trying to decide if he's going to resource it, and he decides to resource the Keylon Elemental. Yeah, the unique Inari. Let's see here. Do I have that pulled up? I do. So that one is when it goes to reserve from Expedition Zone, you may discard a target permanent. Okay, so that's an interesting one. A little bit of permanent removal. Don't see a lot of those, but I guess it is valuable
Yeah.
when you're trying to play against a deck similar to his, like a Trace deck, for example, where you just get free
Yeah.
removal on the Haven Bravos Bastions when you typically aren't looking to use like a Keylon Burst or something for 3 costs on just a 2 cost permanent.
Yeah. It's basically like pretty awesome. And also when we look like through tournaments that already were played, we saw like a lot of uniques that use like the ability to actually remove permanence, because if it's like popping off, like right now here, we can see it's getting a lot of struggle to play against, because you have like need to figure out so many stuff. And let's see, so he's playing her and
Yeah, at this
could
point
move
he's
like
all
go forward. Yeah.
all resourced out here. So with 6 mana left, Faunus obviously has the ability to do a lot more, especially with the helping hand in hand. Um, so stats wise though, it's 866 for Clem and 466. It looks like the Faunus is going to prioritize winning one side. I'm not quite sure. I can look to see what the Ortis Cadets unique does, but it doesn't look like he's going to use it. He's just going to use the
I can tell
removal
you.
to just win that side and
Yeah.
prevent him from double advancing.
Yeah. So he's boosting out him. Okay. So the Orders Quartet saying you may pay one if it's coming into play. And if you do, create an Orders Recruit Soldier token and target expedition. And at dusk, you may return a card other than me from a reserve to your hand. So like almost the same second effect like the Spindle Harvester.
Yeah,
And now we can see, okay. So we're seeing like the small step, giant leap, and yeah.
that's what he was looking for the
Yeah.
draw. I'm sure he knew he
Yeah.
had two coming somewhere in his deck, and now
Yeah.
unfortunately the sub ash doesn't know it's coming yet, but it's about to end immediately. No counterplay to
Yes.
this other than don't let him advance.
So let's see. So GG to the first round and also
Yeah.
to the winner.
Yep, and that is Clem taking that one, I believe. No,
Yeah,
that's
Klang,
no, that's the
oh,
Aphonis, Sryzen.
the fairness. Sryzen, yeah. So GG to Sryzen for
Yeah,
winning
I
the
mean,
first round.
really good perseverance wise. I mean, to come
Mm,
back from dealing with double Haven Bravos Bastions from right away and to be able to come back from, I think they were down as many as like 3 or 4 locations.
yeah.
So go. So they're going to close out here. We'll switch over back to our 2 caster setup so you can see our lovely faces without seeing the background screen. Um, Thanks to anyone that's in here. I know everyone probably prefers the French stream because, I mean, who's speaking English, especially not in the States right now, because all of us are asleep except for me. Um,
Yeah.
but anyone who is speaking English and is enjoying the stream, thanks for joining. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, feel free to jump into the chat. Again, I am Blue, and with me is PaandyAndy. He will be taking over for me once the break happens, a few rounds into Swiss. Um, just a reminder, we are celebrating the ExAlts Celebration Season 2 tournament happening today. We are working on the Swiss bracket at the moment. 6 rounds of Swiss for, I believe, close to 60 participants at this point. Uh,
Yeah.
and I don't remember. Yeah, we can actually, while we're waiting a little bit, we can take a look at the bracket. Um, so let me pull this up so I can interact with it while it's in my OBS for all of you lovely folks. So yeah, we got quite a few people here um, to check out, and a lot of Exalts folks. We see the AA for the Altered Aces. I think those are like the two
Yeah.
main teams that we have going on in Altered these days. I know the Altered Aces have had some pretty good runs on tournaments in general, so good for them. But yeah, it looks like a lot of the games are already wrapping up. As far as wins are concerned, we saw this event here. As far as Klim and Sryzen, it looks like Sryzen is actually with the Exalts. I didn't know that. And they were able to get the win over the Subash and Klim. Um, Quite a few still going on in the current round. Could see if doesn't look like we're going to get into a new game quite yet for the first round, but as soon as we have the secondary round, we'll be able to check that out. Um, yeah, and past that, let's get back to uh other big screen with us talking here. No background or anything. One thing that we can talk about a little bit for everyone is thanks to future caster casting tomorrow, a guy trying. He was able
Yeah.
to put together a pie chart of the breakdown of all the heroes that I'll pull up here for everyone. That'll cover our faces a little bit, but at least you'll be able to see something a little bit prettier. Um, Breakdown of the current season's hero selection and how it differs a little bit from what we've seen before. A lot less Waru in general. Five Waru. Major contributors at this point are Sigismar, Tasia, and Aphanis at 9 apiece. We have the lonely one Kojo and one Keisha. And then obviously we're not seeing a few other heroes involved. Kojo's the only Bravos hero uh, in the mix. As far as like individuals, I don't think there's a standout as far as like factions that only have one other hero, is there? Um, Axiom has all three heroes participating at the very least. 5 Sierra, 6 Trace, 2 Subash, one that we got to see play recently. Nope, actually Tasia is the only Muna hero that's being played.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I'm honestly surprised that we didn't see any like Rin and Orchid. I know Arjun's not that popular, but I think Rin and Orchid has a place to at least be seeing play somewhat.
So I think maybe because the succeed of like Teacher and General in the last tournaments could be like the reason that we see like only her, because it's actually I think like one of the strongest heroes because you can pop off your hero ability like every turn for the first
Right.
character that you put in play. And I think like if you're like comparing it to Rin and Orchid, it's like Rin and Orchid are easily countable, if you're playing against them. So I think maybe those are like the both reasons, but I think like the main reason is that teacher or like a lot of players showed that she's like a really strong hero, and also Muna in general can be like a really strong deck. Yeah. So maybe it could be like this. You have something to add?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
a lot of folks in the stream chat are mentioning Tasia, Sierra, all the folks and everything, and I agree with you. I'll go ahead and bring the pie chart down at this point. Thanks, a guy trying for putting that together. But yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you as far as the Tasia increase. I think there was always a good amount of Tasia being played. We just didn't see a lot of success from it originally, like at the
yeah,
Ludo Trotter events. Um,
yeah,
but it's not surprising to see the increase of Tasia players overall, because like you mentioned, I think I've that's the most amount of as far as like hero I've seen been playing BGA, whether it's arena or just casuals. I see so much Tasia, and just like different unique spindle harvester effects, getting boosts and putting things away. Seeing a lot of the Muna Bastion to prevent removal
yeah.
with the tough mechanic. So it's cool, honestly, to see Tasia doing well. I was wondering when that was going to happen because we were seeing a lot of Tasia, but not necessarily a lot of Tasia wins. So it'll be fun to see if we get some Tasia in the top cut moving forward as well. Is there any particular hero that you'd be looking forward to seeing in the top cut for all this?
Yeah, so actually, it's of like something personal because I'm still like I'm a Wahoo player for myself, and I still like the deck and the hero a lot, even without the Robin Hood. I'm
Mhm.
still happy if like someone starting to win off games and also like being in the top place for something like that. And yeah, so this would be like my main hero, but I'm also like would be pretty excited if like the only Kocho player or like the only Nevanka player could like move forward, because it would also like show something out. If you're like the only one that's playing the hero and you start to become like the top 16 for tomorrow, this would be pretty awesome. But if I could like guess out the biggest deck that I want to see, it's like Wahoo. I want to see like all Wahoo players in the top 16, so that people actually can see even without the Robin Hood, it's still a strong deck.
You didn't see enough Waru winning earlier in the meta?
No, no, no,
You want
no.
to see more? Alright,
Yeah,
alright.
I want to I still want like so when like the Robin Hood band came around, I had like a lot of discuss like with friends if like the deck is still available, and I always told them like Robin Hood is like not the main reason why Wahoo is like winning the game, or like winning all those games. So I'm actually always happy to show them just like the deck list or like the top 16. I'm like, here, I prove it to you. Here is the proof list. You can also win without Robin Hood. So
Yeah, I
that's like
definitely
the main
agree.
reason. So what are you looking forward with heroes or decks in general?
Honestly, like I'm always a big fan of seeing decks that you don't normally see piloted in these events for like top cut and everything. Um,
Yeah,
see success. So originally that was a lot of Bravo space decks, but
yeah,
I think we've seen a lot of different things now. I think a cool one to see do well, since we see a lot of Traced and Subash and Axiom, would be to see Sierra do well. I know a few
yeah.
folks in the chat that are mentioning the Sierras that they got coming up. I'm surprised how many Sierras we have in the deck lists in
Yeah,
comparison. Like when we were showing the pie chart, that's tied for first among the Axiom folks, with as far as decks are concerned. Because honestly, like I didn't really think that there was a place for Sierra in the overall meta, just because I didn't think there was enough support, permanence wise.
yeah,
But I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there trying to prove us wrong, uh, and try to take Sierra to the top cut. So I'll be interested to see if we get to see any of those. But past that, with the different heroes available, I would like to see Tasia be able to do well in a bigger tournament. I would be interested to see the
yeah,
Warus that you mentioned, how they changed things up post Robin Hood errata. Um, and then other than that, I'm always a big fan of the Bravos folks doing well, especially with the one Kojo, like you mentioned. Come on, take it home. We don't see any Itzadi available, unfortunately, so I don't think I can
Yeah.
root for that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it as we wait on the second round of things and keep things going. Yeah, it looks like the folks talking about the Sierra in the chat are just they focus more on a control-based Sierra, which makes sense, I guess, for you. But yeah, I mean, you were mentioning the Waru. What have you been running? Have you been still running the Robin Hood, or have you been running like a council? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so yeah, so basically I'm just like only using like one Robin Hood that I got as a unique
Hmm.
because I switched it like to the game plan to actually have like a lot of draw utilities and also being able to push out fast. So I just like built it a little bit more aggressive. And my Robin Hood unique said if my expedition is not moving forward, I will draw 3 cards. So I'm putting on sleep, just let him staying there. And then most of the time, like 90% of the time, I'm getting like my 3 cards, or he just get like deleted out of the expedition site.
Yeah,
Yeah, so but in general, yeah, yeah.
out of curiosity, what's the cost on
Mm.
that for you?
It's 5-6,
Okay.
the Robin Hood.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
not.
actually I can wait, I can show you as long as
Oh,
it's
he's gonna pull
so
it up for
you will be
everybody. There you go.
surprised. You will be surprised. What else I got? Like I got 3 Robin Hood unique. This
Okay.
one is like the most crazy out. But sadly, I just like got it out a little bit too late from a booster, so I can show you. I can prove. So this is the rare double text Robin Hood that I took at a
Okay.
cost of 4-4.
Okay.
So I was happy to cut it, but sadly I cannot play it because he's still 4-4 and he got the double effect. It's crazy.
Unfortunate. Just
Yeah,
just not in time to be able to utilize it. But the
yeah,
draw
and
three the
now
draw three effect sounded really good. I mean, can't
yeah.
complain as far as like draw is concerned.
And that's like what's crazy with Varu. It's like switched out to being like a more control, more like mid to late game deck. And because of the lack of Robin Hood, many people or like what I saw like in the last tournaments switch out a lot of cards and play it like more aggressively. So it's just like putting all of his bureaucrats on one side to getting out the maximum effects of them
Mhm.
and already pushing like out the other sides to still being able to move forward pretty fast. So it's actually got a different playstyle and I'm happy that it got also like this playstyle. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yes.
definitely interesting. I'd be curious to see us if we got into a not a Robin Hood, a Waru game to see it being played. Because honestly, I haven't seen much Waru,
Yeah.
whether that be on BGA or on other weekly events like on AWOL or anything like that. So, I mean, I know they're there, but I just haven't really like seen them as prevalent kind of thing, right? And I know you've
Yeah.
been doing the Monday AWOL events, and you've definitely seen a few Tasia take it home, right?
A lot of Tejas, yeah. It
Mm,
was crazy. So that's why it was like surprisingly for me because as we saw like also like bigger local tournaments like the Lotto Trotter or other stuff, as you like mentioned, like Tisha was the most played hero in general, but never took out like everything home. But for now on, it seems pretty strong when you like compare it to like Wahoo that we talked together. It was like one of those heroes that were played at least, but always almost every player that played Wahoo was like in the top spot, and now it's got like switching off. So I'm actually pretty interested how many teachers will be there on the top 16. Also because they are got like a big succeed and I also looked, there was actually the first teacher player I'm seeing like in the AWO tournaments that got second place without any uniques in his deck.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that, and ended up losing to a Trace in the finals, but
Yeah.
still, nonetheless, that's pretty impressive. So it looks like they are starting round two of the Swiss.
Oh,
I don't believe we have it pulled up on the stream quite yet. Probably because of
around 4
the
minutes. Yeah.
yeah, probably because of
Yeah.
the delay. Everything that we're
Yeah.
watching is on a delay, so none of you cheaters can uh, catch up on anything, but that's okay. Um, so we'll keep on talking a little bit until it does pop up, which I'm sure it will quite soon. And then we can figure out who is playing because I don't believe we got the notification on the second round. But we definitely can see some folks starting already from the website, um, and see how that goes. Take a quick look if we can
Yeah,
there.
maybe it's
So,
around
I mean,
here.
while we're waiting a little bit, I can switch back over to the setup here. We can take a look at the bracket, which is basically just a bunch of matchups. But we can take a look at the standings and see all the folks that ended
Yeah.
up winning that first round. Um, Sorizon, like we were watching, was the Afanis player. And then we have a few different folks here. Uh, not quite sure who. I'm not as familiar with the European scene, so you'll have to let me know if you see any familiar faces here in general.
Yeah, I
Um,
can look. So basically, wait. I hope they're using the same name that they're using like in Board Games Arena.
right.
Otherwise, so Yodo Akin for sure is
Mhm.
like one of the player because he was one of the rare players that actually won both tournaments on the Avo League last week. That was pretty crazy. Actually, also like a really really nice trace player. I don't want to say like the best because it would be unfair for the others, but he's actually pretty good in general as a player, but also as a trace player. Then Doombringer, that is also in the chat, is our loved Sierra player. So I'm always happy when we watched him when it's come up to Sierra. It's also really crazy. But like from the other names, if I'm looking, like from the team AA or like from ExAlts, like all of them are also like pretty well known, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's interesting.
it's
So,
like
like,
this.
just looking at the
Yeah.
breakdown of the matchups here. So,
Yeah.
I've Mr. Awesome Possum, I know, was a Sierra player playing in the recent AWOL event. Was able to get a W, so that's good there. And I believe Gino was the winner of the recent AWOL event this last Wednesday,
Ah,
playing Traced. Um,
yeah.
and like you mentioned, there's a few folks from AA with the Altered Aces and
Yeah.
Exalts. Um, just looking through a few names that I see if I do recognize. You did mention Doombringer, who's in the chat. Yeah, you say you're not going to cheat Doombringer, but I don't know. You seem kind of sketchy. You're a Sierra player. Anyway, uh, but going back to this, sorry if I don't see your guys' chats immediately, trying to do a few different things. But yeah, a few different folks. Sryzen, like we watch, I recognize Hazmat. Skycrier is an Aphanis player as well, I believe. I believe he's still running Aphanis for this event. We can take a quick look. He is, in fact, running Aphanis. Um, let's see if there's any unique decks that might have won. Let's see. Oh, there's a Navenka. Did Navenka win? That's Saweki. Nope, Navenka did not take the win, unfortunate. Um,
Yeah.
Kojo, that's the one we wanted to see if they were able to take a win.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Malmolian
yeah,
played.
Mullion. And let's take a quick
Let's
look.
see.
Not seeing them on here. Maybe it's
I'm looking through it, and
on.
here,
Am I missing something on the list here?
um,
It's round
we get like
1.
only one Akisha player actually. That's also pretty interesting. It's
Yeah.
Hurricane, the only one that's playing Keisha. So I'm interested how far he will come
Yeah, I
and
don't
moving
see
forward during the tournament. But I
yeah,
also don't see.
I don't
Hmm,
see the Kojo player on the list. I don't know if they didn't show up or I don't see them, but it looks they didn't get DQ'd, so they should still be around. Either way, let's take a quick look on the stream. Still nothing up. So
yeah.
we'll just keep on playing around here for all you lovely folks. Um, what's with the Sierra disc? I'm sorry. I don't have anything against low tier characters. I'm a big fan of Itzadi. I just believe people should play Itzadi and Arjun instead. If we're talking about characters that don't get played, why play the higher tier of low tier is what I'm saying. Just go if you're gonna go
Uh,
low, go all the way low.
you would say that he's like the lowest tier hero out of all?
Of the Axiom heroes, I think
Like
Sierra's
in general, yeah? In general?
no in general. So if I'm making like a tier list, quote unquote,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
of all the heroes, let me just pull them up here so I'm not forgetting all of them. I know all the heroes. I'm just not gonna altered TCG heroes. Um, all the heroes. So starting with the Axiom heroes. Okay, so maybe if we're going like high tier, middle tier, low tier,
Yeah.
uh, I would have to say it's Saudi, Orok.
Yeah.
Are probably on the low tier. The problem is that like I feel like Arjun is playable, and I don't think it's as bad, or it's just Taja's that much better kind of thing. I think Arjun is playable. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it that's fun. It's just not very consistent. I guess Goldring's a little bit weird too. I don't know. It's hard to put. If I'm picking one hero low tier of each faction, Sierra is
Yeah.
definitely the lowest. Aurak's definitely the lowest. Atsadi's definitely the lowest. Arjun's definitely the lowest. Goldring's definitely the lowest, and Lindoi is definitely the lowest.
Yeah, okay. I would go with you. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I agree as far as Sierra having the room to grow.
But I'm so excited already like for the second release, for the second chapter.
Hmm.
If like the heroes will stay like the same, you know, on the tier list, or if we actually will start to see like new heroes popping up. Be
Uh,
thankful that it's just like not releasing news, yeah? Yeah? Yeah?
yeah, I think there's a lot to work
Eh,
on as far as like the
mhm.
potential for the heroes. Like I think we've already saw with some of the leaks for Trial by Frost
Yeah.
that we had at least something that seemed like it could work with it, Saudi, with the
Yeah.
reduction of costs of like from hand and everything like that to be able to get the boosts. I think Itzadi's not horrible either. It's just not consistent overall. Like if you're lucky, you're
Yeah.
getting 1, 2, 3, 4 draws in a game. You might be able to get the fifth one, but not very often. um, and
Yeah.
then and then I'll also be curious to see which one other of the quote unquote low tier heroes that get boosted. I think Sierra has definitely the most potential. Um, it, like the folks in chat are saying, um, because
Mhm.
really all it takes is just to have more availability to good permanents.
I'm
Um,
also like pretty interested to how Zero will pop off. Like with already like the permanents that you could like play on the expedition that we saw.
mhm.
Um So I'm actually interested how many it will be at the end, because if we're looking, it was around 98 cards, right?
Yeah.
That will be released in the second chapter. So if you're looking, like, it's like 9 cards around each faction, plus like the outer faction cards. I'm right with it? It should be 18 new cards for each faction, if I'm correct. Yes or no?
Sorry, I had to dive underneath my desk real quick to fix a internet dropping issue. If you saw me go below there, that's the reason why.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah?
yeah, around 18 cards.
Yeah, okay,
I believe
okay.
it's
Around 18 cards.
90 cards total.
Mhm.
15 in that aspect if you were to split them evenly, I guess.
Yeah,
But with the with the heroes, it would be 18 cards. But I don't know which heroes they're planning on keeping in the set because I know they said they were only going to do 12 heroes opposed to the full 18. Um,
yeah.
but I guess we'll find
Ah,
out
okay,
where that goes. But
okay.
let's see. Do we have a round two yet?
Oh, no, it's still going down on 3 2 minutes. Yeah, so I'm just like, yeah, just
Okay.
like thinking of myself. So how many of like those, for example, like this 10 to 15 cards will be actually new permanents that you could play? But it's like, actually, if you only got like 2 to 3 permanents for Axiom, then maybe, and also they have like the cost of 3 or more for sure,
Right.
then maybe Zero will be so much stronger, and also like maybe other ones. So when we saw like the one that got spoiled, that you could like basically also sacrifice characters. So I'm hoping that my beloved Lindy, as I told, as call her,
Right.
will also get like a little bit stronger, because I like this main mechanic of like putting control on sacrificing, but it's also like a little bit messy to put the stuff around. So it's actually working fine. So
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the
yeah,
sacrifice mechanic is like one of my favorites in the game. Not
yeah,
necessarily from the Linda way use of it, uh, in general, but I like it as like a method of getting around the tough mechanic, for example.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and someone who plays something big and being able to use uh the like Anubis type of thing as a method of control. And just forcing them to discard a really big character when all you have to get rid of is an Ordis recruit, like in a Sigismar deck or something like that, right? That's like it feels like that's one of the better uses of the sacrifice mechanic in the game at the moment. Um,
yeah,
and and but past that, like you mentioned in general, there's not like a lot of good play using just the sacrifice mechanic. The same way it's difficult for Sierra at this point with the available permanents, and with it being a smaller set, like you mentioned, it's hard to believe there's going to be enough added, but they did have all these sets planned out ahead of time, so maybe they knew which heroes were gonna be strong and which ones weren't,
yeah.
and we will see exactly what we need for a lot of these heroes, or maybe we won't, and they introduce another taxing card and Waru's back on the market again. The main thing I want, though, as we're talking about Axiom cards, is definitely more robots, please. More robots.
More robots.
We just have Brassbug, Hive, and Capelia at this point.
Yeah,
Make robots a useful archetype in the game, please.
it would be also crazy. But yeah,
Because
I'm
right
just
now,
like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
realistically, right now all we have is bureaucrats and plants that actually work together at the moment, right?
that's true. Yeah,
I can't really think of anything
yeah.
else that would do anything. I know there is like robots as far as like boosts and everything, but
I mean, the wizards in Izmir, but
yeah, but they
it's
don't really
like
play off of each other, right?
they play they don't play together, but they're actually also working like wizard, and you're actually playing spells, but it's like the whole thing of the faction. So
Yeah, it's just the
yeah,
the archetype itself doesn't play
yeah,
off of each other, which is
yeah.
maybe they'll start introducing, but I mean, the obvious one at this point is definitely just the robots, but we'll
Yeah.
see if that actually even ends up happening or not. Um,
Maybe
kind
it's
of
like
over there.
if it's not happening in the second set, then maybe like in the third one, you know? Because
Yeah,
if they already like to put out the small permanent gears, what I think is funny because I'm always feeling like the permanents that you play like could like play on the expeditions. It's like scrap that was like somehow just like removed away from the bigger permanence, and now
right.
they're just like hanging around in the expedition. So yeah, maybe like in the third chapter there will be like story wise that out of the small crab. They start to building robots or stuff like that. So it would be that's like my dream if it's like something like that will happen.
We all got to dream
Yeah,
something, right? So
yeah.
we all have
But
our
it's
hopes for
like
the next
story
set.
wise, yeah.
But
So,
yeah, it does look like we got notice from the ExAlts folks. We should
mhm.
be getting into it here in about 2 minutes. So anyone that's still in the stream, don't leave yet. I promise we'll stop talking and our faces will get smaller. And you can watch some stuff that you're actually here for instead of hearing us talk about all the stuff we want. And Trials by Frost, which I know everyone's looking forward to coming up post Christmas and everything. There, it's saying that I'm dropping frames, but sorry about that. If I am dropping frames, it should be better soon. But yeah, we'll be getting into the gameplay quite shortly. There, and then I can pull things up for all you lovely folks.
Oh, we're in game.
We are
It's
in
happening.
game, so
Yes.
let's pull up the gameplay. I can take down the bracket and we can watch. Just wait a second as he gets everything adjusted. We'll be able to see the games. Right now, we're just looking at the initial mana selection.
Let's see. It would be. Check out the name. Euro against Bubo 4. Okay,
Nice.
so Sigismar, where he is. Ah, against Athanas again, I think. He also played Athanas, Bubo. Yeah. Hmm. What shortly to the deck list. Okay.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
so is Nura running the Sigismar here?
Yeah. Like Neuro is sitting as like playing the Sigismar and Bubu is playing the Athanas. And if I already look like to Neuro's deck list about Sigismar, I would say like in general it's feeling kind of different. That's how usually Sigismar will be played. He still got like a lot of low drops to put out, but he also put out some control in it, and he running 3 copies at Grand Endeavor. It's also like really interesting. You don't see that quite often that someone is like putting this landmark into his deck and also free
Mhm.
copy out of it. So I'm really interested of how this will work out. And Bobo is like running a basic Athanas list with all the well-known cards for Athanas, but he's also running 3 uniques, and all of them, all those 3 uniques are Splinter Harvesters, and they all have like the kind of same effect. So let's see how like this Splinter Harvesters will work out for him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see
Yeah.
Neuro on the Sigismar. I know he was a big Waru player originally. Obviously, was able to take the first big event with Altered in France for the Ludo event. That was over 1,000 players. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to see some of these players switch over to different heroes. Um, I still think Sigismar is quite good overall. It's fun to see with their deck list, like you and seeing the different things that they can add, especially with the Grand Endeavor, um, and seeing how that works out. I know big permanents haven't always been a point of people wanting to include in their decks. especially against like a higher tempo based deck like an Aphanis, where they just have something always going on with those low cost spells. It seems like, but it'll be interesting to see how this one works out. I'm sure that he's gonna try to use those foundry mechanics as much as possible to reduce the costs of the Grand Endeavor permanent in general. Um, but we'll see how things go. Kind of like a mix of a Waru deck and a Sigismar deck. Starting off good at least this time with a double advance. And Aphanis is stuck on nothing. Um, Drawing the early small steps, so he's gonna
Yeah.
mana it right away. Knows he's not gonna hold on to that for long. Um,
Um, and he still got like a second copy of it, so
yeah,
and he will draw it. It is a high chance.
if he needs it, he'll draw it at some
Yeah,
point, I'm
yeah.
sure. Just like the previous Aphanis was able to get it just in time as soon as they went adjacent to each other and was able to win the game. But yeah, let's take a look here. The Sigismar Neuro's been able to get some good low cost cards to start them off pretty well and get that initial double advance. They also have probably one of the better one cost statted cards in the game with the rare Ortis Trooper, with the 1/2/2. Kind of hard to beat the rare Ortis Trooper in early game, is what I was mentioning for a one cost. Even in late game, realistically, having one mana left and being able to put a 1/2/2 statted character out there, um, it's pretty ridiculous, especially when you're going wide like he is. He's already has three recruits out there between his cadets and the gatekeeper. So a lot of catching up to do here at this moment for
Yeah.
Faunus, but looks like they're going to try to utilize the helping hand on the anchored spindle harvester that you were mentioning earlier. That was a
Yeah.
unique one, um, and see what they can do there. So he has both of his two unique spindle harvesters out there to start cycling a little bit. Still down as far as advances are concerned, but setup wise, I'm sure he's feeling pretty good with so many cards in hand and two characters out on the field.
Yeah. And it's already like similar to the first game that we've watched together. It's like again, you like the sickest part, it's like moving pretty fast forward, but also like the setup because both of the spindle harvesters have like the ability at dusk if they have like one or more boosts that they just like simply he can put a card back to his hand from the reserve. So he already got like a kind of infinite way to actually get a lot of spells back. So let's see if Euro could like being this with his face pacing actually win the game, or if we see again that Athena's just like relaxed and then started popping off really quick.
Yeah,
Because
I think
already he
that's
could, yeah.
yeah, I think that's one of the big things that a lot of people when they're new to the game overall, they just want to play all their cards as much as possible
Yeah.
and get ahead. And they don't realize obviously everyone playing here have been playing for a bit and they're gonna play a little bit sharper than the average new person.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes it doesn't feel good, but it's better to just be able to go behind and then but have the resources in hand and in your reserve to just win the late game kind of thing, right? Um, but
Yeah.
some decks just don't run that way, and you kind of just running low on resources all the time, and you kind of just have to play what you have. And unless you have some fancy uniques that give you three cards that you draw if you don't advance or something like that, I don't know
Yeah.
who would have that, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
also don't know, but it sounds pretty strong, those
yeah.
unique.
Card draw is good.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Hot take.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's actually right now also pretty crazy because he actually don't lose that many out of his play because both of like his magical training he simply could like take back if he want to with the
mm,
spindle harvester. So again, like in the next round, even if both of them like being in the reserve, he still got a lot of resources he would get like out of it. So it's actually pretty crazy. And also like with the third copy that he draw, he will be in so much advantage just like resource
Yeah.
wise. It's actually crazy. So let's see if Neuro, yeah, can handle it also like in the later state of the game.
Wow, and he just drew he just
Mhm.
returned both of the magical
Yeah.
trainings to hand, like you mentioned.
And it's crazy. And
The
he
I
also
the
got the Flanel, so he can possibly just like take another card back.
Yeah, he just got
Yeah.
yeah, he has so much in hand as far as just spells, and he has the Flamel that he can return one of his spells if he needs to at any point. Not that he needs to with all the Spindle Harvester unique
Yeah.
effects. And then he also has the removal for the Off You Go, obviously the best removal in the game for 2 costs, just efficiency wise kind of thing. Um, Luckily for Neuro, looks like he did draw into some card draw with the Baba Yaga and the Ozma. Um, so I'm sure that's what he's looking for. But the question is can he get into that and not fall too far
Yeah.
behind, especially since it seems like the Afanis player has just about everything that they want at this point, right? So
And it's also crazy because it's starting off like we saw in the first game, that even if he like I don't know if we can already say like struck it in the first couple of rounds because he got still a lot out of it. He now can easily just like also moving forward and become also even with like Neuro. So it's actually really, really crazy, and that's why I like to watch Afanas because it's also like gameplay wise, it's just like awesome to watch all those things that he can put out. And as we can see, he's just like using another magical training throughout the next card, just like giving a boost out of it. And still got the helping hand on the side to actually just like
yeah,
but he's playing the beauty sleep. Yeah.
and he still has 2 mana
Yeah.
for the Off You Go if they wanted to, and obviously, like you said, playing the Beauty Sleep just to keep the other Spindle
Mhm.
Harvester out there until probably being
We're
able to
getting both
playing
spells
the
back if we want, so it's actually crazy. He don't lose like anything out of his cards.
exactly like
Because of the
what.
Splinter Harvesters, yeah.
Yeah, why play any other characters when you can just have Spindle Harvesters
Yeah,
stay out there forever, right?
so and now he's cutting the third one that also have, like, the same effect that he can return another card from his hand. Oh,
Yep.
no, if it's like the third one, wait, maybe I can figure that out. Okay, so basically one of those Splinter Harvesters just saying it only allowed to be a spell putting out of the reserve. The others saying it could by leak by just a normal card.
Okay.
So it's kinda a nerf unique.
Yeah. Nerfed in
Yeah.
comparison to the others, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, so
Unfortunate for him. And it's I'd be curious to see if Neuro decides to try to play the Grand Endeavor here,
Yeah,
being able to being so close at this point, and being able to just, I mean, realistically, being able to win in 2 days, um,
yeah.
and at this point,
He's
1, 2,
relaying it, as it
yeah,
looked like.
yeah, and at this point, it'll
Yeah,
take the Afanis 2 days to if they get 2-0 both times to win. So it'll be up to Neuro to have enough resources to try to advance at
yeah,
least once and let the Grand Endeavor take it from there. Um, but we'll see if that's can happen. It doesn't look like the Afanis has any removal for the Grand Endeavor at this point. I know they've played at least one of their banishing gates.
yeah. He's got, like, 2 copies out of it
Two
in his
copies
deck. Yeah.
in the deck list. Okay,
Yeah,
so
so there would be a high chance that he could, like, with his almost infinite draw utility, there
yeah,
would be a chance to draw it. And also, it's kinda hard still, like, for Neuro, even if he got the Grand War, because Bubo also got, like, both sides and still got one small step giant leap that he could, like, pulling out of his deck.
Right.
So it's getting actually really, really close if we're looking like at this state of the game. So
Right.
I'm
Sounds
interested in what's happening and how they
yeah,
will yeah.
honestly, I'd love to see a Grand
Mm,
Endeavor win. I haven't seen that
yeah.
in a bit, but or at all, to be honest. Not a lot of Grand Endeavor players out there.
Yeah,
But yeah, it looks like the only thing he has available to take that out is the Banishing Gates. So obviously, still one available to him. In the meantime, he's just got to hope he can win both sides. Which I mean, with
yeah.
all the resources available, I think he can do that pretty easily. Um,
And he's still keeping like 2 out of his 3 spindle harvesters. So he's getting like 3 spells back and just don't need to remove anything from the reserve because he's getting everything back to his hand. So maybe there's actually a pretty high chance that he will getting the banishing gate.
yeah, it's
So
wild.
let's
Like
see.
for everyone that's just joining us or hasn't been watching the entire time, he's basically been recycling both of those magical trainings and that helping hand for quite a while now. He drew into his third magical training as well, and he just decided to mana that one. He doesn't need three of them. He just said, well, I'll just keep these two and constantly put those back to my hand whenever I want to, kind of thing. So obviously working out for him.
Let's
Has
see.
not drawn into the banishing gate though. 16 cards left in hand. Um, able to get a sabotage, which I'm sure he'll be happy to take out that Ozma with the card draw.
Yeah.
Um, the Neuro able to get teamwork training, probably one of the other better removal cards in the game. The question is can Neuro be able, is Neuro able to work the teamwork training into a advancement this day? Because if he is, obviously he's able to take the win. But honestly, the Afanis is able. I would put being able to 2-0 here quite easily, and kind of makes the Grand Endeavor useless because it's an at noon effect.
Yeah. And it's also like already like looking really hard for Neuro because if you just like through the spells in his hand, he can easily boost up so many characters out of it that even with the teamwork training, it's actually pretty hard for him to move up. And it's like only the last option that he also got to play it
Right.
after the two fairies. So it's look kinda that this could
Yeah.
be
Yeah, especially with
yeah.
losing the card draw from the
Mhm.
sabotage from the Tooth Fairy, like you mentioned.
I mean, you still
Um,
got like the Sandman unique. It's saying up to one target character gains a sleep, and if you have less than 8 mana orbs, then he can resupply. But he don't have because he have 9 mana. So, but he has the sleep effect, so maybe he
yeah,
can getting
yeah, I
one
think
side, maybe.
yeah, he was hoping to
Mm,
hold that on to hopefully make the
yeah,
Afanis boost up one character, and he's able to remove it. I'm sure,
yeah.
um, and win one side. So he's gonna have to decide what's the best option for him there. Um,
Mm,
close that. Um, to see which side he can win, and then use that teamwork training as a follow up to remove the secondary card. I mean, the good news is that you don't typically see a lot of characters in these Aphanis decks since it's
yeah.
kind of centered around the spells. Oh, we just had a little bit of an adjustment there. Um, but so he can potentially target both of the Spindle Harvesters, but since they're both not fleeting anymore, um, they he can just replay them if he wants to, especially with a lot of one cost
Yeah.
spells in hand, including a Beauty Sleep, 2 costs, off you go. It doesn't look likely for Neuro to be able to take this one. So he decides to wait and hold on to the Sandman that you mentioned
Sleepy
to
one.
kind of hopefully
But
surprise the Faunus, I think, and win one side. Um,
even with like the Thanos, yeah, he's could just like play the other Spindle Harvester, and
yeah, he
simply
just has to.
got 4
Yeah, he
mana
just.
left, so he could play out most all. Also, basically all out of his belts, and even he
Yeah,
could just like easily remove one of his characters. So
yeah.
I
He can
think,
just slow
mm,
play it with the one costs, and now he has to play
yeah,
the Sandman, and then he has 4 mana. Off you go, beauty sleep. Realistically, anything at this point
yeah.
is gonna be able
So
to
I
take
don't
it.
want to jinx it, but it's almost looking like that Ubu could like taking it because he has like a lot of resources and options. He just could like simply put away Ortis, uh, the Ortis Gatekeeper, or like the Sandman if he wants to.
Right.
Or like the Ortis Keeper moving forward with both of his expeditions, and then because like it's the noon effect of Grand Endeavor, he just like simply can take it out. Also, even if he just like simply could like speed up, buff up like his last Spindle Harvester, or just like
Yeah.
using Beauty Sleep either.
Yeah, I don't think you have
Uh,
to have any worry about
yeah,
jinxing it at this point. We can see their
yeah,
hands
we can
unlike
see
usual.
it, and he
Yeah,
said GG, so
yeah. Unlike usual on
yeah,
BGA when we're like, "Oh, they might not have this." Well, we knew.
yeah, because
It's
we don't now we know it, we see it actually because um if someone here is like in the stream that also like watching maybe like other tournaments that will be hosted during BG8, it's like very special that we actually see like the hand cards because it's always like a surprise what could be played out. And it's
for
just
sure.
like a guessing. So it's crazy. So GG. And what I also need to mention is like if I'm looking at the chat rule, it says that we will be finished at 11:15, and even if we start like a little bit later, we're still like pretty good in time. So that's nice for the players. So they have like a full lunch break, maybe.
Yeah, they can
That's
actually have a
crazy.
lunch
That's
break
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
out there.
So thanks for
Yes.
the fast game, guys. But there's still like another player still playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, still like another player.
Let's see. Round
Mm.
two. No, it looks like all of round two's done.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Currently,
That's
obviously, we're watching on a delay. I don't. Nothing on round three has started yet. It looks like they
so.
have the start time for that is in about 10 minutes. So we got a little bit of time to fill here. We'll go back to the setup over here so you can look at our faces
Yeah.
again. Actually, let's go back to here. I'll pull up the website again for all you lovely folks to see the breakdown of who won, who lost for the event. Let me pull up my interactable here so I can actually move the stuff on the website. But yeah, so let's look at round two to see everyone who won, lost, and everything like that. Um, Doombringer mentioned in the chat lost to Skycrier. Uh, Unfortunate Afanis matchup there.
Yeah.
Um, and Gino, the current AWOL champion, took another W to go 2-0. It looks like.
Also
Uh,
crazy. Yes.
Sryzen, the Faunus player we watched in round one, ended up losing um, there to Putre, um,
Yeah.
who is, let's see what they're running. They are running a Tasia, so a little bit of the Tasia winning that we were talking about at the beginning of everything. Um, Other than that, we just watched Bubo and Neuro play, and yeah, I don't see anything else too big pointed out there.
And I'm also super excited for the third round because, as I can speak of a tournament player of myself, actually winning the third round is putting a lot of pressure away for you because you're almost like being safe, you know?
Mhm.
So it's actually pretty crazy that like 12 players are left that like won both games. And so now I'm super excited for seeing the third round because if you're getting like 3-0 before like a lunch break, then you can like relax a little bit more because I'm almost kind of safe.
Regroup a little bit, get ready for
Yeah.
the next setup.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
but yeah,
seems like 1 minute left. And also Gupe, that's being on the first row right now on the standings, he just got like a free win because someone didn't show up. So it's also like
oh, someone
so
didn't even show up.
yeah,
That's
it's
unfortunate.
someone didn't show up from the other Red Ace team actually, yeah.
Mm,
Or yeah, maybe there's a reason for it. And so now he also had like a little bit more of break time. Also really
definitely.
crazy, yes.
So yeah, currently we have it looks like 12 players that are undefeated. Um, moving into the third round,
Yeah.
and then we'll see where it goes from there. We'll go ahead and move back to the two caster setup. Um, as we wait for things to get moving. Uh, thanks for everyone that's joining us in the English stream for the ExAlts Celebration Season 2. I'll leave it to Andy to message you guys while I mess with OBS. Past that, again, thanks for anyone that's decided to join us. It's been fun thus far. Thanks to the ExAlts folks
Yeah.
for having us and letting us speak English to all of you wonderful people that are deciding to join us. Definitely a interesting event thus far. It's been fun being able to see the hands of the players playing on BGA. Not as much guesswork, I guess,
Yeah.
determining what they have available to them, um, and seeing what is going on there. Past that, of the two matches we've seen thus far, anything surprise you thus far, Andy?
Mm, so actually like surprising. Let's see. So I need just like to check up if like our coach or player won. So that would be nice. But I don't find him. Do you know what his name is on like the bracket state? Because he has a different name, right?
He must because I
Yeah.
don't see the because it on
Yeah.
our setup it's Malmolian, right? Or something like that, and I don't see them on the breakdown here because I've even control F'd it and I didn't see it. I guess we could do a process of elimination to see um, who it
Yeah,
is.
so
We do,
if one of both of them actually won like the second round or one of like the coach or player, I don't know if he's like one of those guys that's being 2-0. I'm just like checking it out how I can figure it out.
yeah, see if we can get like
Yeah. Ah,
who
okay. No.
figure it out.
No. I was thinking like, oh, I found something where maybe it could be, but it's actually
Let's see here.
see if I figure it out.
Let's go a breakdown here. So Naka and Tito. Do we have those guys? So we
Oh,
see
Memorian.
Naka, we see Tito.
So he's live on ExAlts Celebration. I found him. And he's got okay, he's there on the ExAlts Celebration.
Tito.
So it's saying like on his profile that he's playing, but I don't see him actually. Are we
Yeah,
just blind? Are we just
I'm going through each individual game to see if
Yeah.
I can find someone different. Bubo we've seen, Hazmat we've seen.
Hmm.
Hurricane, TCG, we've seen Insane, Squitter.
Ah, wait, we can watch. We can look through the matches. If he, oh no, as
Have we
like
started
the
yet?
match side. No, we don't have started yet. But I want to mention that like it could be possibly that he's not playing because if I'm searching for him as a player, he don't show up. Maybe
Hmm.
we don't see him at all. Sadly, so no Kocho maybe.
Yeah, I'm making it through the whole list here, and I haven't
Yeah.
seen.
Oh, it
I've
could
seen.
be. It could be possible that he's not playing.
Yeah, I know a few different people dropped out, so it definitely is a
Yeah.
possibility.
Oh, that's sad. I was actually pretty excited to watch one of. Oh
Or at
man.
least something like that. But I mean,
Yeah.
end of
At
the
the
day,
end. Yeah.
we'll see some good games, I'm sure.
We still have our
Neuro.
Ivanka
Yeah, we got the one
as our
Navenka still
sideboard.
around.
And also I just want to look how the Akisha player is doing. It's Hurricane CTG, so okay. He did go like 1-1.
1-1 so far.
Yeah, 1-1 so far. And that's like pretty crazy because I think Akisha is like also a pretty awesome game to watch those games. Like if an Akisha player do his stuff with the deck. But what's happening like a lot, if I mention like the other tournaments, most of the Akisha player are losing still their rounds, even if they're winning, because they are like in a super duper out of time.
I gotcha.
Because it's
Yeah,
like taking too long to actually figuring out what everything you can do. So I'm always saying like if they would have like 5 minutes more,
that makes
then it would
sense.
look different. Yeah. So I'm actually surprised how Hero went because this deck it's like just like if you coming to the late game of Auto Red, then it's like popping off and you almost can't do anything against the deck. It's crazy. So I'm always also excited to see maybe he will be in the showcase of the of one of the matches. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Well, I guess I didn't go through all of them there,
Mhm.
but yeah. So the Akisha decks that you've been running into, have they been purely the category decks that
Yes.
stall? Okay.
So
Yeah,
you have like yeah,
I've seen a few different more focus on like tempo in general.
yeah.
But obviously I guess the category decks have been more popular uh as far as that's concerned.
So I also tried out like some Akisha because
Uh
I was like pretty interesting into, and it's actually making it's actually crazy when you play it for yourself because you know how many things you can possibly do with the deck. But the problem is, it's like a little bit too much, first of all, like for me personally, what the deck could handle. And also, you actually need like a lot of time to think about it because it's like if you're playing it with the category, so like more of the spell control way, you need to think a lot of which cards you're actually putting away in the mana, which cards do you keeping, and stuff like that. So I am always like it's super awesome if one of those Ikisha player that's running this category list actually being able to at least coming to the top 16 because then you know they actually understood really well the deck and how they could play it because you have so many possibilities in this deck that it's actually kind of hard sometimes that it working out for you, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. But
yeah,
it would have been cool to see a little bit more of it, but I get it. As far as like the breakdown's concerned, we can bring it back up here while we're waiting
yeah.
for the third round of things. You can see the pie chart cover us up a little bit. But like we mentioned in general, we have Sigismund, Artasia, Afanis, the big characters as far as folks going into this event. And there's a few that are early one-offs. The next biggest hero is the Finn. It's weird because I thought we saw a little bit of a Finn drop off
Yeah.
initially. I thought it was like the second most popular hero behind Waru as far as like competitively. And then it didn't seem like we saw as much of it. So it's good to see Finn show up again a little bit. And then obviously, I mean, I think it's pretty cool seeing a big contribution from the Axiom side of things, having seeing
Yeah.
all three heroes, 13 folks representing Axiom as a whole, which is the most. Oh no, it's not. Even with Waru and Robin Hood getting errated, we still see 14 Ordis, but we do have Axiom close behind at least, and
Yeah.
then behind them, we have Ysmir at 10, Muna at 9, with just the Tasia players all by themselves. 8 for Lyra, and then 1 in Bravos, but apparently they may not have even played. But anyway, that just means that we need to see more Bravos people in general. But
Yeah.
doesn't look
I'm
like that's going to
actually
be the
kind of
case.
surprised that we're only seeing like one coach show like in general, even if he didn't like show up, because I was always thinking like because he has like a big succeed like in general in the last couple of tournaments, and I was like actually really surprised that like only one pro was in general, and we got a message that maybe it says that the next game will go on. Yeah, and it stayed true against Eganman, and it's coming in around 8 to 9 minutes. So we still
Sierra
have a couple of
versus
minutes left. Yeah.
Traced, an Axiom matchup.
Oh, that's really interesting. So
And I
let's see the pick
believe,
list.
I'm assuming these are both 2-0 folks. Uh,
Yeah.
yep, they're both 2-0 currently. Um, 6th and 7th respectively. Not that it really matters for ranking wise, since everyone has the same uh, record if you've been 2-0 in
Yeah.
general. So stick around, anyone that is still in the chat. Be sure to watch this third round. Following the third round, just so everyone is aware, I believe there is going to be a. How long's the lunch break?
Around 1 hour.
One
Is it
hour
like
lunch
mentioned?
break for
Mm.
all the competitors, and at which point we'll be switching over to PaandyAndy's stream on Twitch. Um, so you'll be able to see him talk to himself a little bit as I decide
Yeah.
to get a little bit of sleep on the weekend. Even though I probably don't need it. It's fine. I could just stay up for 24 hours. It's not a big deal. Um, but I'll be back tomorrow for Top Cut with a guy trying who's been in the chat a little bit. Um, and we'll get to hear my lovely voice a little bit longer. But in the meantime, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Andy here, and we'll get the rest of the Swiss, the final 3 rounds of the Swiss, talked about a little bit following the lunch break, 1 hour lunch break. But we'll still have one more match. At this point, we'll see it in 34, about 7, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Should be around like that.
we'll get a Axiom matchup between Sierra and Trace. I'll be interested to see how that turns out as far as how that matchup works out. I've seen a few more. If Sierra, I'm assuming, is a little bit more control oriented, is able to slow down the Traced at all
Yeah.
from activating the hero ability um, and getting into things there. So, and we'll figure that out as I continue to drop some frames. I'm sorry in advance for that, but not horrible in general. Considering how long we've been on, hour and a half at this point, going a lot faster than originally planned. I think is what you were mentioning. Um, Everyone playing nice and fast for everyone watching. We don't see any hour-long Akesha versus Akesha games with 20 mana apiece um, as they stall each other out with celebration days. There looks like everyone started at this point as far as the third round. We're just waiting on the match to show up, and it looks like both of
Yeah.
these players are part of a team of some sort.
Yeah,
Tay2
sure
is
is.
part of the Altered Aces. Agenman, I'm not sure what DQ stands for other than disqualified, but I don't think he's disqualified. Um, but we'll see there. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, we could pull up
So
some deck lists.
I need to leave you alone for a couple of seconds because someone is ringing on my door.
Okay,
So
I'll
I'm
wait for you.
so I just like need to look who it is because he don't keep stopping. Even if I'm not reacting. So I
Yeah,
just
no
like watching.
worries. In the meantime, everyone can listen to me. I'll go ahead and pull up this, so as soon as the game is ready, we'll see it. You could probably ignore the timer, that thing kind of just resets. But I'll pull up some of the deck lists on my own here, so that way we can get a little information. I believe a guy trying was able to see that a lot of the trace decks are running similar cards in comparison to the other heroes. Was able to go there. Yeah, Doombringer at Who Needs to Sleep. It's for the week. Um, Dropping a lot of frames. I'm not sure why, to be honest. My internet says I'm amazing, so I'd have to figure that out. I may need to switch to my other PC at some point for tomorrow, but we can figure that out at a different time. Let's see. There. So the traced has a few uniques. A unique Athena, 5/2 in cost. Um, Gains 2 boosts for each card, or gains 1 boost for each card in its reserve, so an Anansi effect. From reserve, if you control 2 or more landmarks, it loses fleeting, so typical Athena there. So it's just like a little fun Anansi effect for 2 costs, played from anywhere. I'm assuming they're going to want to play it from reserve. A John Assembly Overseer. Uh, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, you may discard target permanent. Also, good permanent removal that will become useful when playing other heroes that are using permanents. And a 1/1 Mowgli uh, that from reserve, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, it gains a boost. So fun
Oh,
deck.
we're on
As
it.
far as
Welcome back,
trace are
guys. I'm back.
concerned, I don't see anything completely out of the ordinary. It is a trace deck that is running mechanical training as well as 2 Keylon cylinders and 1 armored jammer, as well as 2 the usual low cost trace cards. And then we can pull back to see what the Sierra is playing as well. And it looks like Andy is back. We're just
Yeah,
going over a little bit of the deck lists and kind of
nice.
describing what we have going on here that is interesting. Um, Again, I'm not as familiar with the Sierra deck list, but running a lot of permanents between Brassbug Hive, Ouroboros, Lyra Bastion, and Brassbug Hub are the main ones. Also running 3 mechanical trainings in a common,
Yeah.
and a lot of other characters that don't really super stand out to me, but the uniques are there, and we got the gameplay coming up actually, so you can stop listening to me describe it and actually just watch it.
Yeah. So let's see who will take this game. It's actually pretty interesting to see Zero against Trace because even if both of them like being in the Exam faction, they still have like a different playstyle being played. So maybe because Zero is like far away the less played hero, you can like win against her bigger sister, as I would say. So let's see, let's see. It's also actually awesome that we can see what they will put in the mana for the first round. Also actually really crazy, you know?
Hmm.
We're seeing it like
Just to
from the
being able
beginning.
to see that as it's happening, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the two started off with his Inari, played on the companion side, and let's see what Yaman will do. Answering, and he's playing his hidden elemental to put out, yeah, the Axiom Erasure in his resupply. And also already playing it out. And he's got already his Athena. Okay, that's crazy. The effects of the Athena are if she's going into the game, she's getting 1 boost for each cut in his reserve. And if you control 2 or more landmarks, she will lose fleeting. So actually pretty good. Unique.
Yeah, not losing fleeting
Yeah.
quite yet, but I
Yeah.
mean, it does have the
Yeah.
Anansi effect for 2 costs. So if they can get the landmarks out, that would be ideal before it gets sabotaged.
Yeah. Well, let's see happening. So he's putting his Tinkerbell away. Okay. Putting his another Inari away.
So the Sierra does have the permanent available with the Brass
Hmm.
Bug Hub to be able to be played. I'll be curious if they decide to play that in addition to the engineer, or yeah.
Yeah. Would be interesting. Because Ackerman still had 2 mana left, so he could play like his Killen out or just like simply his Axiom Erasure.
Yeah, so he ends up going with the
No.
mechanic. I called it an engineer, but
Yeah.
plays with
And
mechanic
yeah.
as a slow play, and then I assume is going to be playing the 3 cost Brass Bug Hub here, but maybe not.
Hmm. Let's see. I mean,
S-
he could still like play this press back hub if he want to. We seeing actually the Axiom Erasure. Will he play it? And he's playing it. So he still could like move one side and he's playing, yeah, he's playing his first landmark down. And can also create a token out of it. That's crazy. And he still have like the chance to actually putting some more counters of it because the Inari have like the ability to actually activate it. And also his unique has the ability to, I think it was if he control 2 or more landmarks, then he could also put a card from his hand in the reserve. But I would say for now on that maybe he would just like getting away of his foundry mechanic and playing the press archive with the reduced cost, right?
right.
And he's doing it, yeah.
Perfect use of it. Get that brass bug hive out early. Make the other character remove the other hero remove it. And at this point, the only thing that you would see a
Yeah,
lot of removal for would be a boom. And I'm not sure if this trace even runs a boom, and they do
yeah.
not. They
Uh,
only run one Keylon burst. So the only thing that would be
Oh,
able to remove it would be the unique that they have in their deck, the Assembly
yes.
Overseer, that is able to you put a card from your hand in reserve, you can discard target permanent.
Mm,
So that is currently the only permanent removal that they have available to them. So Brassbug Hive will run rampant until they see that.
yeah. It's really crazy because Sierra already got like a pretty strong opener for the game in general, but Trace maybe could like facing it because it can also already draw out the Haven Bastion and also played it out. And as we can look through the Sierra decklist, it's also only running, yeah, as you mentioned, 2 Keelan bursts beside the boom. So let's see if he maybe can draw it because we see the next Bravo Bastion in his hand. And if you're having like 2 of them on the field, it's getting really hard to facing it.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
mean, it's definitely difficult, but we also saw that first
Yeah,
game where the Sub Ash was able to get two of them out. Obviously, it's a little
yeah,
bit different for Traced, um,
yes,
especially once the Trace is online, which they already are with their hero ability, hitting 5 counters. Um,
yeah,
so it's really going to become a battle of Haven Bravos Bastion versus Brassbug Hive permanents, and see who can beat who. Um, Interesting mana choice. It looks like the Traced is prioritizing the sabotage from the
yeah.
Tinkerbell opposed to the Ada Lovelace draw, maybe? Still deciding.
Deciding, yeah, because he could like just like put out his Inari still with the ability and just like reactivating the press archive. So to create another token out of it. And with the foundry mechanic, so he could like get it. He's got like a really strong turn out of it if he's being able to keep it. But lucky as we are, we can see actually what the opponent has in the hand. Did you need? And I would say he would just like putting out the Tinkerbell and playing it out, yeah. Or he just like waiting. I'm not sure. What do you think? What he could like possibly do?
It's interesting because, like, usually once Trace gets online with the hero power, there's a lot available to you. Like, you get a free draw, you get to put whatever you want into your reserve, so you always have options to figure out what you want to do. Being low on mana at this point, you can't play too many characters, and that's probably why we're seeing him delay
Ooh,
playing that second Haven because he doesn't want to go too far behind here, especially with all those brass
oh,
bugs being available and the
yeah.
resupply with double brass bug hub.
Yeah, it's crazy.
um, so the Sierra is just going to be able to rotate permanents in general. But we'll see the Ada Lovelace to see another draw here, and gets the Amelia Earhart, which doesn't really help him this turn because he can't put it into reserve for the one cost
Yeah,
play. Um, so realistically, only able to play the mechanic left at this point, which will give the Sierra a bit of a free play on advancing here because the mechanic isn't going to be able to catch up even with the Bravo Bastion. So
yeah.
we're probably looking at a easy 2-0, but had to use a lot of resources to get there.
Ooh, yeah. So instead of like just like putting him away and playing the Bravos Bastion, he just decided to
Block on
actually put,
the
yeah,
companion
block it.
side. Yeah. So
I think it's actually okay. Yeah,
prevents the 2-0, still only behind 1 on the tumult.
yeah,
It's going to get rid of the Lyra Bastion, keep the hub available in order to rotate more brass bugs. Decides to get rid of the boom as far as removal, keep the brass bug hive. I imagine we're going to see an immediate play of it.
and he's putting it out. And this is like a pretty strong board
Mm.
because Egerman still couldn't like throw out anything to put away at least one. And it's looking pretty good for our Sierra.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think this
still
is
did
ideal
throw it.
scenario for the Sierra,
Yeah,
having 777 stats across the board. Obviously, given your opponent free play at this point, nothing else you can do. But with only 7 mana, it's going to be hard for them to catch up on just one side, let
yeah,
alone both sides. And with already being ahead, the Sierra is a little bit in the driver's seat on deciding how
yeah,
things are going to go. And like we mentioned before, the Traced only has one permanent removal in general. Um,
yeah,
so uh, it it'll be rough constantly having to deal with 444 uh, brass bugs every single turn. But it does look like they'll be able to catch up on at least one side, so they don't get too owed. But it does leave the Sierra just 2 advances away from winning. So if
yeah.
they can keep on trading advances on the tumult, I'm sure they're fine with it.
And it's also like if he like could start to activate both of his bastions, it's still kind of hard to facing it, as you mentioned, like those little robots,
Hmm.
because he can create so many out of it, and with the boost, it's getting pretty hard. And he's actually also again just like trod another landmark, so he's getting another robot, and with the I'm sorry, with the foundry armorer, he's also getting another one. So let's see. So for sure, like Eggman can like basically maybe defending like one side, also like moving forward, but getting both sides also just like blocked, it could be really hard for him. But he got a lot of low cost in his hand and already like yeah, so let's see.
Yeah, he's able
Let's see.
definitely to play a lot. It's just it looks like for the Sierra, they'll be able to play one mechanical training, one of the
Yeah,
armors, and one permanent. So we're looking at least 3 more 444 brass bugs,
yeah,
plus a 222 armor as far as
yeah,
stats are concerned. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him just overload one side to go adjacent
yeah,
and just keep on trading because I don't know if the Trace can catch up, but he's still deciding to split a little bit, um, and keep his cards close and kind of force the Trace to focus on one side.
yeah. It's pretty a pretty nice idea because he still got like his landmark to creating another robot. And also got like his mechanical training to just like creating another robot.
Yeah, I know
So
Doombringer. I know
yeah,
Doombringer in the chat's happy to see a Sierra
yeah,
destroying a Traced. So, um, yeah, like we mentioned, we're probably going to see at least 2
yeah,
more brass bugs come out here. Where they're going to go, I'm not quite sure. If we do see that unique Jin though. It got played, so yeah, there's the removal of one of the brass bugs.
yeah.
So we won't see 444 brass bugs anymore. Just the 333s. One less stat. Um, but
So let's
that
see.
is yeah, that is the end of the removal. So he'll still have to deal with at least one brass bug hive.
And now he's thinking what he could do like in the next turn.
Yeah, I think he's definitely
Mm,
deciding which permanent he wants to play potentially,
yeah,
because he still has the ability to play one permanent, one mechanical
yeah.
training.
And it's getting stronger and stronger. That's crazy.
Um, and he's just assuming that the trace player isn't going to contest on the hero side,
Yeah.
so he's just going to try to compete on the companion side to hopefully 2-0 and win this game. Um, I think the trace has enough stats to prevent that potentially. And worst case scenario can always just hooked one of the brass bugs, I think. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Could do
especially with
like that.
yeah, especially with Double Haven. So I think they should be fine. They have two one
Yeah.
cost cards. Um, we'll see. The Trace is playing currently, so we may see a one cost. We'll see at least one more brass bug, so we'll get up to 14, 14, 14 on that side. And with
He's
a
already playing the hooked. Okay.
playing the hooked first, huh? Yeah. So it'll be a 10, 10, 10
Mm,
if he plays it over there,
yeah.
which will be plenty for just one of the one costs and can avoid playing the Amelia Earhart if they wanted to and just play the Izmir Stargazer to save on stats. Yeah, and that's what he'll do.
So, but it's already like actually exciting this game because it's really close. Because both of them has so many possibilities to win, but it would be actually pretty nice to see if like Sierra would could like take us away in general, because that would be like not quite happened a lot.
For sure. I
Yeah,
think the problem that most heroes are going to run into at this point is that Trace just never runs out of resources.
yeah,
Um, and although the Sierra still is in a decent spot with what they can produce, I
yeah,
don't know if it'll end up being enough, especially once we're at this point now between like 8 to 9 mana available, and the Trace just can just play so many characters that are 1 to 2 cost, right?
yeah.
Um,
And also he got a killing burst in his hand, so he can get rid of at least one robot if you want to. And he's
yeah,
just like reusing the ability from now on. So let's see where he will put his robot. But he's actually in a quite good spot because he only need to take care like of one expeditioner if he wants to. And even if like the trace still has a lot of cards that like cost not that much, it's
yeah.
still I would say like pretty hard for her to actually facing off already like one side and also like just like getting two sides out of it. So let's see how Egenman will handle it. And then we're seeing the Axiom Salvation putting on the side. And now with 19 cards left. So has our Sierra still a chance to put out this and just like play something for the cost of one? Yeah, only the foundry mechanic. Sadly. Let's see. Oh, the next unique.
Yeah, it's the
It's the
Mowgli.
Mowgli, and he's
Yeah.
saying you may put a card from your hand and reset, and if you do, I gain one boost. And at the cost of 1/1. That
Yep.
is pretty awesome. That's a
Yeah.
it's pretty
It's a
nice
it's
unique
a
for Trace.
it's a solid statted unique for Trace
Yeah.
for sure. And it's going to make it more and more difficult for Sierra to keep up. That realistically only has one more play to play one more brass bug,
Yeah.
and then the Trace is going to have free reign to catch up, um, which seems likely based off of looking at all the stats available. And we'll probably see a 2-0 for the Trace here and be able to make the comeback, which um,
Yeah.
kind of ruins the dream for the Sierra player, but it seems like it was a tough fought match regardless. If only they got to keep both of their brass bug hives, maybe things could have been different.
Yeah. It's true, but like still the amount of possibilities that like Egeman have, still can use like his healing burst if he want to, and even play like the Mowgli. And so let's see. So he's got the front row mechanic. He will keep. Yeah, he will keep. Oh, I'm sorry. I always it's like oh yeah, it's the foundry mechanic. I just want to say engineer every time. But it's the
Yeah,
foundry mechanic. It's the
all,
foundry mechanic.
all Axiom are engineers anyway, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's
So it's okay, I guess.
so still has one play there,
Yeah.
only producing 1/1 of stats, um, and 6 mana left for the Trace player. Basically able to play not all
But
of their
could he just
cards.
simply playing the Vanguard, giving the boost to Emilia and just like playing the Mowgli and he could win it with the stats, right? If I'm correct?
Um, he
If I'm
has
if I'm
Q.
correct?
Yeah, he
He
could be
just
able
like
to.
simply could mhm.
So that Mowgli will get a boost, get 2 more boosts, and then they'll just have Keylon burst and or yeah, putting
I mean,
Keylon
even
burst
if he
into
has
reserve to
like
get the
the
boost. So that'll tie everything up on that side,
yeah.
but he'll be able to play that to the right and get ahead, and I think he wins with that.
Yeah.
So I was wrong. I won't include you in being wrong. I was wrong. I thought the Trace was going to be able to come back and out resource him, but it looks like the Sierra is able to etch it out. Um, only able to win the one side. 2 mana is not going to be
So we
enough
still
to
will
be
see
able to
another
play the
round.
Keylon burst. If only the Trace had one more mana, they'd be able
Yeah.
to Keylon burst and get the 2-0.
But I also
Um,
just like figured out like at the end I was like maybe wait like the foundry mechanic was like that's why I said it. Yeah, I remember.
yeah,
It was like
so
the only option that he could keep, so he just like can compare to the companion side with it.
yeah,
So that's crazy that he drew it out out of 15 cards. And it was
yeah,
like already his second or third. Was it his third one?
could have been. I wasn't
Yeah.
counting to be honest, but
Yeah, I'm
at
also
the
not,
end of
but
the day, it just kind of delays it, and
yeah.
that doesn't usually benefit you when you're playing against Traced.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still like another round to survive. And he's also got like his good unique. And he can just simply pay one and then sabotage if he wants to. So he can get rid of at least of the Mowgli if he wants to.
Mhm.
And but we're seeing the third one, so it's getting harder for him.
Yeah,
And
and
the
at this
Trace
point,
only still got 3 cards left. That's also
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and at this point, the
Mm.
Sierra's running out of resources.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I
a
mean,
difficult one. Not impossible, but
yeah,
definitely
he
difficult.
could still try his Ogon to boost up. Also, he still got his Boom left, if I'm correct.
I thought he mana'd it.
Oh, he mana it. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
But he still got some possibilities to draw,
Ooh,
actually.
ooh, that's rough.
Oh,
But he'll get a play here, so he can play. He's
yeah.
not gonna get it sabotaged, but it looks like he's GGing. Someone just typed in the chat, so I don't know if someone's GGing
And
here.
he's got the Kill and Burst. Oh, man. And he will get the other side also with his. Yeah. So it's GG, actually. Yes.
Yeah, just enough mana to play whatever they want.
Mm,
Get the clean 2-0 to end off the game here. Can't
yeah.
out can't out resource
So
trace.
GG. And it said that he's got his second Kill and Burst with 2 copies of it, because every other card could happen a lot. Still maybe to going to a tiebreaker. I think if he trot his Ogun, he could facing off the companion side, right? If I'm correct?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So GG. also like actually an awesome game. It was pretty close.
Yeah,
It's
a
nice
good
to see
way
that you're a
to
quick visit.
yeah, definitely a good way to go into the lunch break overall. A
Yeah,
fun little axiom match between the two. Let's go ahead and pull up the two caster setup here. But yeah, I believe everything is done for the third round. Is everyone closed
yeah,
out? Actually, there is still at least one game going on. But we do have the folks that are currently 3-0 are
yeah,
Gino, which was the traced player that won the recent AWOL event. Uh, Bubbo, who we got to watch last round. Uh,
yeah.
Agenman, that we just watched win here with Traced. Sky Cryer, the Aphanis player that everyone knows. And Yo, um, who is, I don't, what is Yo playing? Yo is
He's also
playing,
playing Traced, right? If I'm correct? He's playing Traced.
no, Aphanis,
No,
it looks
he's
like.
playing Afanas.
Yeah,
YOLO.
there we go.
Oh,
So
okay, crazy.
we have two Trace and wait, so one was Bubo a Trace as well?
Yeah,
Bubo is an Aphanis. So we have three Aphanis.
crazy.
Three Aphanis, two Traced that are currently 3-0 at the moment.
Okay.
So good for them. Good for them. Nothing
Yeah.
too different, but we do have a Faunus and Trace and Notasia that are 3-0 at this point either. So
Hmm.
that's definitely interesting. I thought we would for sure see Atasia in the later rounds of the Swiss.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, do you have a favorite match thus far that we have gotten to see? Is it the last one? I think it's the last one.
The
That
last one, Naga against Tito. But Tito also like a pretty strong player. He's also in the top 10 of Board Games Arena.
okay.
If I'm correct, I will check it out before I say. Yes, he is. He should be that one. He should be so. Let's see how far he will go during this
Nice. And then let's
tournament.
see if there's
Yeah.
any other matches going on. I think we still have one to finish for this Swiss round. Yeah, it looks like everything's done. So final standings. We have one, two, three, six players at 3-0. Tito, like you mentioned, just became 3-0.
Yeah.
And Tito was the Sigismar player. So lone Sigismar player, three Aphanis, two traced players
Okay,
um,
that's crazy
that are
for the
currently
halftime.
undefeated. Six players of those. So we'll have three more rounds of Swiss after this lunch break, um,
Yeah.
where we'll get it narrowed down to three in the fourth round, at least two in the fifth round, and then potentially in the sixth round, we'll have the final player that was undefeated not even have to play someone that's undefeated. So we'll see how that goes. We may have a upset
Yes.
alert there to see if someone ends up going 5-1. Um, but we'll see how that goes. This will be it for me though for the night slash morning. PaandyAndy will take things
Yes.
over. Do you plan on hanging around during the lunch break, or are you going to take a little bit of break yourself and then?
I also will take a break to eat something. So for all those who's already watching, I will be back around, as he said, at 1. The round will start, so I will be back at 12:50 or something like that, I would say. But I will let you know in the Discord, and in general, you can see it on Twitch. I'm the second
Yeah.
one that's streaming.
And for all the folks that are looking for them, I'll post real quick here. I'll make sure I'm spelling it correctly here. Um, does that look correct in the chat there for your Twitch?
Yes, thank
So
you.
anyone that is English stream of the ExAlts Celebration Season 2, go ahead and plan to switch over to PaandyAndy, or when he mentioned that he's going to be able to head over there. And I've been blue for the start of the first three Swiss rounds. Feel free to come back tomorrow, where we'll go through the top cut of the English stream. I'll be streaming with a guy trying right here at Blue Oak TV. We'll be streaming again all the way through the top cut, see the finals and everything. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your day and lunch. And I will see you all in play for the next day. Have a good one.
Nice lunch break, guys. We'll see you later.